Welcome to East Coast DNA. Darcy Walsh back here again. And today's guest is a representative of the band Versus. So welcome, Anthony.
How's it going today?
Very, very good. It's the tail end of the sickness that seemed to be plaguing everybody for the past month. I'm sticking indoors a little bit more, but I
Man, oh man, yeah. Last Monday I got down with COVID, so I feel that.
yeah, I've avoided that so far. I
Lucky.
was worried, but I tend to get a cold right before everyone gets COVID, and then I'm in when everyone catches it. I don't know. I don't,
Yeah, I
thanks,
literally got
thanks.
COVID and seen everyone's popping up with it, so
Yeah.
it's the season, right?
So just before all of that, or maybe sometime overlapping some of it for some of us out there and some of the people watching this, you had been right here in my hometown of Glasgow,
Yeah, man, we hit up the new Vertigo stage at the spot.
and that
Um,
was the very first night I think that they've run that.
I think it was, yeah. Pat's trying to get something going there, and yeah, it turned out really well for sure.
Yeah, it was good times. Now, one thing right off the bat for me was that you share a member with Leaf Green, who's been on here, and the specific person was also on an episode when I was in Yarmouth.
Yeah,
So some of our viewers would be familiar with Michael Pinto or Pinner.
I call him Zach Morris. I mean, he has so many aliases that we've lost track.
Yeah, I was actually just before your show that night, I was talking to him for a bit, and he was with his friend circle, and I was picking up that vibe that there's a lot of name changing going on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he gets in a lot of bands. I know he's doing a lot of other stuff. It kind of happens when you have only a couple good drummers in a small town.
Yeah, I've seen that in other areas, but I'm just starting to get to know the scene in Truro a little bit, and I'm realizing he's one of those key members right now.
Yeah, he's also playing in like Vandalize, and I know he was down at Nova Scotia Music Week with a rap artist. So
Johann Black.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, super cool.
Yeah. So now you're the rest of your band before we get into Parker and yourself,
Yep.
your Bandcamp profile, actually, your online presence, is it purposely mysterious or is it just that you're starting to do new stuff?
So I mean, Versus came from like a time where it was like mostly message boards and stuff. So that was kind of like, to hear about us, you had to go on like Hubtown Hardcore, Halifax Locals. Um, yeah, we like to keep a low profile. I know a lot of bands do like a lot of social media stuff. We
Sure.
just got an Instagram last week. I'm old school.
Hmm.
So that kind of stuff is new to me. I'm used to like putting your name on a poster and kids see it walking by.
Oh, we
Uh,
should talk outside of this recording. People don't want to hear me say it again, but I'm very new to that stuff as well.
yeah,
I just do
it's
it all the time now. So yeah, we should have a conversation someday when I'm at one of the shows or something. We'll sit down.
Yeah, I think for now we'll keep that like mysterious aspect.
Yeah.
If you want to see us like hit up the show, I don't spend time too much on my phone promoting like this and that. It's just mostly sharing shows.
Well,
Um,
and to that point, and because you referenced it, there is some of our audience, I wouldn't be able to give a percentage, that would be very familiar with the old locals boards.
yeah,
And we've
yeah, for
talked about a
sure.
little bit on some of these episodes too. So who was the original lineup for Versus?
So it started with me and a guy named Sean McKenzie.
Yeah,
Um, Sean, I don't know if you would have remembered a band called like Audrey and the Agents.
I know that
Um,
name.
yeah, they were pretty decent size back in Halifax, probably around like 2010. Um, Also we had Justin Crow, which he went on to do like he's playing in Bougie Boys, Washing Machine, Heavenly Blue. Um,
I knew two of the three, so I'm familiar with
yeah,
him.
and then Luke Mumford, he played bass. I don't know if he's actually doing too much anymore or what you know him from, but he used to play in a band called Genetic Angry here in Truro.
So he's not the lead from Mumford and Sons.
No.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I do believe he is doing some stuff. I know he played in Turo Brewing Company with LeDrew and Crow, which is a little like I think they're a rock act. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's been a while since I've hung out with those boys, but I still talk to Sean quite frequently, and I check in what they're all doing. So
And so now the new lineup, it's been many years.
yeah,
And as I mentioned, you just before we hit record, actually, I was looking at the catalog you had on Bandcamp, kind of
yeah.
digging for some factoids, which it was also mysterious. Even the song names. So,
So right now we're currently in like the first album of verses, so I named it Numbers.
mhm.
So it's literally just like our song titles are 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. The second album was Letters.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so kept it kind of weird with just numbers and letters. The third one we're doing is Punctuation. That was kind of at the end of verses. With the old lineup, we didn't really play any of that live. So I just had this entire catalog of songs that I'm kind of bringing forth. So I think you'll see us go through a few changes here.
Mhm.
Right now, playing the first album, maybe a couple months we'll bring out the second. But yeah, we've got a lot of back catalog to go through.
That's exciting. And so there's definitely a little bit of a built-in fan base where some people would be familiar with the songs, especially in your
Yeah.
region. Now, I did mention too that you were here in Glasgow, but those releases that we just talked about on Bandcamp, like you just put those out like in the last 2 months.
So those were actually would have been recordings with the previous lineup.
Yeah.
So everything you hear there was probably circa like 2008, 2009. I do have recordings within like the last 3 years that I was kind of doing with the drummer.
Hmm.
But though I'm kind of waiting on that. I kind of want to see what Pinto and Parker can add to it. So
Hmm.
we'll probably re-record all of that stuff. We just wanted to have something as like a placeholder so people could check out the songs that we actually are playing.
And where did those two come into play then? How did it? Because I can understand how you've carried some songs over and have the concept of what you want to do going forward,
Yeah.
but now you have two new
Um,
players.
yeah. So I originally, I was in we were playing in another band, which we're kind of on hiatus right now. Chokeslams are for free. So we took a little break, and during that time, I was kind of wanting to bring verses back, and we had this plan to play the gig night at Gus's. But when Chokeslams kind of took a hiatus, I decided that we had to fill in some shows. So Pinto played drums and Chokeslams as well. So it
Okay.
was just natural for me and him to jam. And Parker was actually their band was playing the gig night, so I had reached out to him and said, "Hey, you want to just learn these songs and fill in for bass." Um, but after we played that show, we kind of decided we were going to keep it as a full time band. So Parker luckily decided to stay in. Jams are kind of weird where Parker's in Halifax, we're in Truro, but we kind of just meet up before the show, get an hour jamming, and then go from there type deal. I think
And
we've played more shows than we've actually jammed at this point.
well, that was going to be my follow-up question. So if you have to travel to Halifax, then it's worth booking a gig. And if he comes down to Truro, it's worth booking a gig. So that's exactly what's
Exactly.
happening. You're booking more gigs than practices.
Yeah. With these two shows this weekend, I think will be two more gigs than practices. So
Well, it's an interesting problem to have. You seem to have. I've noticed you guys can kind of go with on the fly changes and stuff. So I mean, it's punk music. It's
that's just it.
it's
Meant to
meant
be
to be
sloppy.
raw, but you are able to kind of organically move with things. It's not like just destroy the stage and walk off if things go wrong.
That's just it. Yeah, a lot of the stuff too is kind of improvised on the fly. Like I don't think there's one song I don't think I ever play the same guitar like twice. So
Yeah.
it's just what I'm feeling that night.
Yeah, and you can see that you guys are having fun, so obviously it's not wasted effort there. But how far have you gone as far as performing? Is it had been Halifax, Toronto, Glasgow?
No, so actually, when Versus first started, we had played a ton of shows. We did a Newfoundland tour with Versus,
Cool.
way when. Um, and my previous band, so Versus when they started was pretty much like Anthems. I had an old band called Anthems, and it was three members from Anthems. So me, Justin, and Sean just went on to do this. But Anthems had actually toured to like Montreal and stuff like that. And yeah, so right now I think Versus has played pretty much all over the Maritimes. Yeah.
And
We
now with
want
the
to do, we
new
want to do
lineup?
something in the spring with Leaf Green.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we want to go to like Toronto and back with Leaf Green, just trying to get the logistics of that because you know how touring is nowadays. It's
Yeah, that's
expensive.
I talked to somebody about it a couple times a week, and it's like three or four different people. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think it's more viable for these bands to go and do like a weekend in, say, Toronto or Montreal rather than play 7, 8 shows and have half of them with low turnouts, and
yeah,
the money's just not there.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but I have noticed something that on the fan side is nice is things like that Vertigo stage. That night, I was actually at three different venues for three different shows, all on the same street here in the Glasgow, which I keep saying is possible. It is
Yeah,
hard to do, but it's nice to see that every one of those had a decent sized crowd.
and that's the thing. I think New Glasgow's got a really unique thing going on too. Whereas if like Truro, a lot of our venues are kind of separated, and a lot of venues aren't doing too much like modern music.
Hmm.
Uh, with New Glasgow, yeah, having the shoebox right there, the spot. Like if there's multiple shows, you can just go up and down the road and see what you want to see.
Yeah, and earlier that evening it was East Avenue with Campbell and Johnson.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's so much going on that like you could just stroll down that street on the weekend and find a good show. So that's used to be you had to go to Halifax for that.
That's just it. I know they're doing all ages shows too in New Glasgow right now. We played one at the boxing club, but I heard it's moved to, was it New Glasgow Square?
Yeah, I was the person that's running those is Aaron Hayden, who if people go back, he did a little metal festival out in Blue Mountain this past summer and we had some coverage from that. So it's the same fella behind those. And
Yeah.
he was doing those boxing club ones, which I didn't make it to myself. I did hear like yourself, like I did hear about stuff there. So
It was a
he
unique
is
experience for sure.
he is planning a follow-up thing through Glasgow Square, but I don't have any details. I don't even know if I should say that much, but it definitely is something that's in the works.
No, he had reached out. I think they're trying to get something going December 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, that close to Christmas. I know Austin Leaf Green, we're gonna try to do it, but we might be back for the January one instead, where it's so close.
Yeah, and the Vertigo show stage is going to be doing new shows in the new year too. So I mean, those are two new options that are not the other ones that have been going on the last little while too. So
I know we're due back. I know with Versus, we're doing a little like mini thing with Pavel Stroke from Halifax.
okay,
So Pat's got us back at Vertigo Stage on February 23rd with
awesome.
I think it's a band from Fredericton, and I think they were trying to go with the Bomb Solid, which I'd be stoked to see the Bomb Solid. I've heard a lot of good things about
Oh
those
yeah.
guys.
I've been to their shows enough times now that I feel like they live next door, but they are fairly handy. They're just one of the next towns over. So
Okay, right
yeah,
on, right
they're
on.
always a good time. And if anyone's wondering about them, there is under our live shots, there's definitely some content with them, and there's an interview with them this past summer as well. We did a crossover episode because they have a Tuesday night live stream show.
Okay,
So I actually went over there for the interview and I was on their show as well. So that was kind of fun. That's something else for you to check out on a Tuesday evening.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But they're just a
So
two-piece, are they not?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely
amazing
impressive.
what the two of them could do just with two instruments.
Yeah, I love it.
So now for versus going forward, then you're planning on recording a new album with punctuation? Or
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
so I've got more than a handful of songs. Our big plan right now is our last show that we've got booked is December 1st.
Yeah,
We're playing Rad Storm with Cursed Arrows, Half Dead Serious, and Strange Life.
cool.
I think we're gonna take the 2 months after that and just kind of get some new stuff down, record some new demos with the lineup, and yeah, we might
I'm
actually be adding some members, so we don't know that yet.
oh,
But
cool.
yeah,
Variation of the songs with new instrumentation added in, that kind of thing.
exactly. Yeah, we've never had a second guitar player, but we have somebody that's pretty interested, and they're coming out to see us this Saturday. So
Cool.
hopefully all goes well.
Well, I'm excited to see what that is because I've noticed, I was just about to say, the last couple times in this episode where you've mentioned three bands at a time,
Yeah,
I've known two out of three each time, but someone like myself who does this, and if you could see my collection off to the side, it'd be apparent. I love the element of the new band in there just as much as the ones that I know. So I'm excited to know who those people will be when the reveal eventually happens, everything is settled.
for sure. All I can say right now is they're from the HRM, so you might know some bands they've been
Cool.
in for. Yeah.
So that's a December 1st show at Radstorm?
Yeah, we got one this weekend at Radstorm as well. With Parker's other band, Fluke's playing a band called Sig Sauer. They're blowing up in Halifax lately. They just did like Battle of the Bands and stuff, kind of like a '90s grunge Nirvana feel.
Cool.
And then Pavel Stroke, which they're just great. They're blowing up everywhere. They just opened for North of America last weekend, and
Awesome. Yeah, you're
I don't
gonna
know
have to
if
bring
Pavel's
all
showing
those,
Turo. Where are
bring
you
them all
with?
down here.
Yeah,
When
well,
I
Pavel's coming with us February 23rd.
oh, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Leaf Green show that I went to in Truro, I didn't stay the whole time. I had my daughter with me, so we were there for the earlier part of the evening.
yeah,
So I didn't manage to catch everyone.
yeah. There's some pretty crazy videos from the last one where like Pavel Stroke singer just like completely slipped on the floor, and it was just a huge mess. But
And now for things like that, you're not big on social media yet, so you're
no,
not going to find that type of thing on Instagram
no,
yet. Maybe in the future. But
maybe in the future. Yeah.
where would you send people that wanted to look for more verses besides Bandcamp, which I mentioned, and we will put a link in the description for your Bandcamp page.
So other than like our personal Facebook, which I think we keep it all the same. So like our band camps, we are versus. Instagram's the same way, and then Facebook. But again, like my posts are so few and far between that if you're looking, you're probably not gonna find much. We'll try to amp that up in the next couple months, but for now we'll keep mysterious.
It was funny too. I did tell Michael this part that, and I maybe even told you that evening, but when I saw the posters for that show in the Glasgow, as far as
Yeah.
the knowing two out of three bands, I knew two bands on there, but I thought it was like a battle of the bands and it was versus.
You know
And
what? There's
I
so
don't know
many
why
people
I
that's
thought that. I know Pat. I've talked to everybody that was playing that I knew. Like I don't know why that thought was in my head.
yeah, no, like there's so many people that came up to us and they're like, "You're an actual band?" We're
Yeah,
like, "Yeah." Like we thought it was just Leaf Green versus Dinosaur Neil.
yeah,
They're like,
that's
"No."
pretty funny. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad position to be in marketing either, because it makes it pretty unique. You'll be able to do something interesting with that. I will be following your Instagram to see where you end up going with that.
Yeah. I know lately, like when we've been putting on posters, we've been spelling it like right out, like the VRSUS, just to leave the confusion out of there. But when we originally played, it was just VS with,
Yeah.
so
Well, you're friends with the people from Vandalize,
yeah,
and they were NSFW, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think they had even more of a problem with that because nobody's searching for not safe for work.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. When they did change the name, I was kind of confused why they're changing the name. And Michael said, go look up NSFW on
Yeah,
Google, see what pops up. It's not us. And I said, oh, okay, I got you.
yeah, 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 exactly. Oh well, now we have this episode, so people have all the confusion cleared, and you'll have
Exactly.
even
All the
bigger
Turo bands are
turnouts.
cleared up.
So we can expect new material. There's definitely new shows in the short term and long term.
Yeah, we're like I said at the end of February. I think we're trying to do a Truro, New Glasgow, Halifax thing, and then a Charlottetown, Moncton, and Fredericton the next weekend.
Awesome.
And then, like I said, with Leaf Green, hopefully this spring we'll be doing something either to Montreal or Toronto once we get the logistics of that. Uh,
Perfect. In the new year, there's no final decisions made here yet, but there may be some format changes for this show, which anyone that's been following for a while saw that I had expanded it into like 4 different podcasts and then shrunk it back into 1, and then I have specials. So like I do that all the time anyway,
yeah,
but definitely in the new year, reach out to me and keep me up to date with the details of what's going on with those, and we'll see if we can get you back in here to promote something.
that'd be great for sure.
And for people that are new to Versus and they're too lazy to go follow all the links and figure it out themselves and have not been to a show yet, what song would you like to play out with so we can get some more people to buy some tickets for those upcoming shows?
I'd say let's go with like E because
Okay,
that's like the closest to like we always close with it. I feel it's a banger.
perfect. So if everybody's gonna stay along with us, you'll get a special treat here with listen to E from your second album.
Second, you got it.
Perfect. And look forward to a third album coming up with the new lineup. And who knows who might be on that? Sounds like there's options going
More
forward.
mysteriousness, right?
Yeah, I love it. So we'll definitely have to have you back so I can ask you a whole bunch of follow-up questions when some of this stuff clears and we start to have a little bit revealed.
Yeah, we might actually have some posts on social media by then.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Anthony.
Thanks, Darcy.
And we'll treat everyone to that song now. And while you're here, subscribe to East Coast DNA. And when the episode's over, check out the Versus Bandcamp and follow them along there as well. And then make sure you follow along on Facebook so you can see what's going on before we have Anthony back on for a follow up episode.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Great. Thanks. Bye.